So growing up, I had always watched the World Championships, and like you say, the greats that had come before me, Greg Foster, Colin Jackson, and the like. And it was like, wow, okay, so now I'm actually on the same stage that they performed on. In this particular race, um, Robert Foster, who was in lane one, we had run against each other a bunch of times, so I was kind of like, okay, I got to look out for him. The rest of the people, I was still trying to figure out who they were and how they would perform here at Worlds. So one thing about being an athlete from the United States, it's like when you put that uniform on, it's a sense of pride and tradition. I wanted to carry that on. When you're the top seed, the first round didn't really take that much out of me because it was just about advancing to the next round. So that's what I did. Yeah, these guys, they took off. I remember Robert Foster was way, 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 way out. And I just thought to myself, okay, don't panic. Just make sure you qualify. And then the second half of the race is like he just started coming back to me. And once it was over, I was like, whew, I made it. If I remember correctly, there was quite a few hours in between the first and second round. It was like the morning session and then the evening session. Yeah, so this was the first time I had run in front of a crowd this big. So for me, just that in and of itself was a big deal, and it added to the mystique of being at the World Championships. This was the biggest competition I'd ever been at as a spectator or participant. So I was pretty geeked up. See, I didn't move. You see that? I was like, I'm not gonna move.
So Johnson slow off the box really as Burroy there, Romania on his right.
I felt so good in the middle of this race.
It's now coming clear. And it's the Cuban Bante that's coming through for second.
And then bam, I almost fall. Yeah, I did. When it happened, I was like, oh my God, I didn't make it. I remember my coach, Coach Fry. He was upset because he believed it happened because I eased up at the end, and I was like, no, just my legs just gave out for some strange reason right there at the end of the race. I got it out of my head as soon as it happened, because what it did was, so with that happening, and I still ran 13:54, I was like, okay, I'm ready to run super fast. I'm ready to run a personal best. I know that because I was on pace, probably running 13:0 at the time in the middle of the race. So I was like, okay. And at the time, my personal best was 13:16. So I knew that wasn't going to happen again. And I knew if I felt like this on that day, then the next day when we came back to run the semifinal, finally, I was going to be good. When I was third, because I knew how the lane draw was, top two get random in the middle four lanes, third and fourth in each semifinal, he gets random in 1, 2, 7, or 8. So I was like, okay, hopefully I'm in 2 or 7. And with my luck, there's Emilio, good friend, but I knew, so I'm in lane 8, and I'm saying to myself, okay, this is not good that I'm out on the outside. I'm not in the middle where I can see everybody. And I look over and I see the camera that goes down, and I go, that's what I'm going to use. Because I knew the camera stayed in front of whoever was first. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to chase the camera. If I chase the camera, then I'll win this heat. I remember when I crossed the line and looked at the clock, I was expecting the time to be faster, and I said, uh-oh. I'm not feeling as good as I thought I was. So I was a little concerned at that. But I won my heat, which was important. Because then I knew I'd be in the middle of the track. Wind and weather, I don't worry about. I look at lane draw. What lane am I in? who's on either side of me. So I thought this, like, I would have preferred to be where Roger was. Or let me say this, I would have preferred I wanted to be next to Tony Jarrett. Because all indoors that year, he and I were just going at it. I knew me and Roger were opposites. And I know for a fact I did not want to be to the left of Roger because I had been to the left of Roger a few times before and it did not go well for me. Yeah. He let me know that, hey, I'm bigger than you. Because I would cheat to the right and he would cheat to the left. So if he was to my right, me to his left, then I'd have to move over to the left a little bit and let him have his space. You know, and at the start, I'm going through all my checklists, and it's like, okay, make sure you do A, make sure you do B, make sure you do C, make sure you do D, and then you have contingencies for, okay, what if this goes wrong? Okay, I'm going to do this. What if that goes wrong? Okay, what if they get out on you? Okay, just relax. What if you get out? Hey, relax. So. You know, for me, in my mind, it's like a million things are running through my mind at this moment before, because once they say to your marks, there's no turning back. So right here, I can see him in the corner of my eye, and I'm just like, come on, keep going, keep running.
And so is Alan Johnson. Jarrett and Johnson, these two, Roger Kingdom between them.
That's why I dove across the line the way I did. So crossing the finish line, I was pretty sure that I won, but I had to go and look back at the board. That's why you see me when I cross the finish line, I immediately turn around and I'm looking back because that's where the scoreboard is. And when I saw my name first, and I'm like, okay, it's official. Everything is relief, it's pride, it's a great sense of accomplishment. And there's Coach Fry, the young Coach Fry and young Alan Johnson. So it's like that was something that we talked about. It's like the year before we didn't know that this was possible, but then during this year indoors, I had a major breakthrough, and it was like all of a sudden going from entering the year as, hey, if we have a really good year, maybe we can make the U.S. team and try to make the final. Like, that'd be an outstanding year. And all of a sudden, things just went better than expected. And then we look up and it's like, we can win the World Championships. I mean, it's because back then you would save your press clippings. You know, if you're in a foreign country and you get to the paper and you look in the sports, and it's, especially if your picture's there or if your name is mentioned, then you save it and you bring it back home and it's supposed to go in your scrapbook. Where now the scrapbook is all electronic and it's Twitter and it's Instagram and all this other stuff. But yeah, I read that kind of stuff, and it was brought up in some press conferences, but it was, at the time, I just used it as motivation. I look back on it now, and they're all fond memories. Like looking at this, I'm like, there were some people that, seeing Eric Batte, Dan Philibert, Kaiser, Kyle Vanderkite. It's awesome. I wonder what those guys are doing now. I guess it's crazy that this wasn't planned at all. We ended up talking about 95, and I just happened to have this. It was right in my garage, and a box on the top. I mean, it's nostalgic. I mean, I sit back and I look at this and I've said, man, it was a fun time. Fun times. Sometimes I wish I could sometimes it's like if I could invent a time machine and just go back and experience those moments. Yeah. But then it's about creating new moments also, but it's cool to go down memory lane.